Today, we're examining Joseph James DeAngelo, the police officer who terrorized California. His double life shocked everyone who knew him during 40 years. Police departments hired DeAngelo to protect citizens from criminals like himself. He attended briefings about his own attacks while wearing his badge and uniform daily. DeAngelo investigated his own crime scenes, contaminated evidence purposely, and misdirected fellow officers. He knew exactly which leads detectives would follow, staying 10 steps ahead always. This actually happened across California from 1974 to 1986. Joseph James DeAngelo committed 50 home invasions, 45 rapes, and 13 murders while serving as a cop. Sacramento suburbs in the 1970s felt safe and peaceful. Families left doors unlocked. Children played freely outside. Nobody suspected evil lurked within their own police force protection. Joseph James DeAngelo grew up in Bath, New York. His father abandoned the family early. His mother worked constantly, leaving young DeAngelo alone with disturbing violent fantasies. DeAngelo joined the Navy in 1964, serving in Vietnam. Military training taught him surveillance, tactics, and discipline. These skills would later enable California's longest crime spree ever. After military service, DeAngelo studied criminal justice at Sacramento State University. Professors remembered him as intelligent but unsettling. His essays showed unusual fascination with dominating helpless victims. In 1973, Exeter Police Department hired Officer Joseph James DeAngelo. Background checks revealed nothing suspicious. Fellow officers considered him dedicated but strangely antisocial and intensely private always. DeAngelo married Sharon Huddle, a law student, in 1973. She never suspected her husband's darkness. Their wedding photos show DeAngelo smiling, hiding the monster beneath perfectly. June 18, 1976, marked DeAngelo's first confirmed attack in Rancho Cordova. A woman woke, finding a masked officer-like figure standing over her bed with a knife. The victim noticed her attacker wore military boots and used police terminology. DeAngelo bound her with pre-cut lengths of rope, showing methodical preparation learned through training. DeAngelo threatened to kill victims if they reported attacks. His police knowledge made threats credible. Many victims stayed silent for years, fearing their attacker's apparent authority. Meanwhile, Officer DeAngelo attended community meetings about the East Area rapist. Citizens asked him for protection advice. He told them exactly which precautions wouldn't stop him. Detective Carol Daly noticed patterns emerging across jurisdictions. The rapist struck when husbands worked night shifts. Only someone with police resources could know these personal schedules precisely. DeAngelo prowled neighborhoods during patrol shifts, selecting future victims carefully. His badge allowed him to knock on doors, ask questions, and scout homes without raising suspicion. October 1976 brought escalating violence in DeAngelo's attacks. He stayed in homes for hours, eating victims' food, taunting them. Police training gave him confidence to take risks. A survivor remembered her attacker had unusually small genitals. This detail haunted DeAngelo. Years later, courthouse recordings captured him muttering angrily about this publicized information repeatedly. DeAngelo called victims after attacks, breathing heavily into phones. Police tried tracing calls, but DeAngelo knew their capabilities. He used payphones on his patrol route strategically. In 1977, DeAngelo attended his own suspect composite sketch meeting. He suggested changes that made the drawing less accurate, protecting himself while appearing helpful to investigators. Auburn Police Department hired DeAngelo in 1979, promoting him despite Exeter concerns. His personnel file contained complaints about excessive force, but departments rarely shared such information then. DeAngelo lived at 8316 Piccadilly Circle with Sharon and their first daughter. Neighbors described him as an angry man who screamed at anyone stepping on his lawn. While DeAngelo built furniture in his garage, he was actually constructing restraints. His woodworking hobby provided cover for creating tools used during his horrific home invasion attacks. December 30th, 1979, DeAngelo murdered Robert Offerman and Deborah Manning. This marked his evolution from rapist to killer. His police confidence emboldened him toward ultimate violence now. Detective Paul Holes studied the crime scene photos decades later. The killer used diamond knots, a technique taught specifically in California law enforcement training during the 1970s. DeAngelo was nearly caught shoplifting dog repellent and hammers in 1979. These items matched evidence from crime scenes. Auburn police fired him, never connecting the obvious dots. After losing his badge, DeAngelo's attacks became deadlier. Without police protection, he killed witnesses. The original Night Stalker murders began, showing his desperation to avoid identification. March 1980, DeAngelo killed Charlene and Lyman Smith in Ventura County. He used their telephone to order pizza during the attack, demonstrating complete confidence despite increased risk. Keith and Patrice Harrington died next in Dana Point. DeAngelo bludgeoned them with a brass lamp. Blood evidence showed he stayed watching them die for 30 minutes. DeAngelo worked as a truck mechanic after losing his police job. Co-workers noticed he disappeared during lunch breaks, returning agitated. These absences coincided with prowling reports nearby. Sharon DeAngelo gave birth to their second daughter in 1981. DeAngelo attended parent-teacher conferences and soccer games while planning his next attacks during supposed overtime shifts. February 1981, DeAngelo murdered Manuela Witthun while her husband was hospitalized. He used medical knowledge about the husband's absence, information accessible through police database connections he maintained. Detective Carol Daly discovered similar crimes across 3 jurisdictions. The East Area Rapist, Original Night Stalker, and Visalia Ransacker were one person. Nobody believed her theory initially. DeAngelo attended town meetings about neighborhood safety throughout the 1980s. He volunteered for neighborhood watch programs, using these positions to identify vulnerable homes and potential victims. May 4th, 1986, DeAngelo killed Janelle Cruz, his final known victim. DNA evidence later proved crucial. DeAngelo didn't know genetic science would eventually expose his double life. After 1986, DeAngelo stopped killing, but continued stalking. Phone records showed hundreds of hang-up calls to former victims. His compulsion to terrorize never ended, just evolved. DeAngelo retired in 2017 from Save Mart Distribution Center. Co-workers described him as an angry loner who exploded over minor issues. His mask was slipping after decades. Detective Paul Holes reopened cold cases in 2016. He noticed the diamond knot pattern immediately. Only someone with California police training from the 1970s would know this. Barbara Ray Venter pioneered genetic genealogy for criminal cases. She uploaded crime scene DNA to GED Match, searching for family connections. The DNA matched distant DeAngelo relatives unexpectedly. Investigators built family trees from DNA matches meticulously. They identified potential suspects who lived in California during the crimes. Joseph James, DeAngelo's name emerged from data. Paul Holes discovered DeAngelo was a police officer during the attacks. Everything clicked immediately. The tactical knowledge evidence contamination, and ability to evade capture made sense. Surveillance teams watched DeAngelo for weeks in 2018. He lived quietly in Citrus Heights, appearing like any grandfather. Nobody suspected this elderly man's terrifying secret past. DeAngelo obsessively covered his tracks even in retirement. Investigators watched him destroy evidence, wear gloves constantly, and avoid leaving DNA anywhere. Old habits from crimes persisted. April 24, 2018, investigators collected DeAngelo's DNA from his car door handle. They also retrieved tissue from his garbage. Both samples matched crime scene evidence perfectly. The arrest team prepared carefully, knowing DeAngelo's police training made him dangerous. They planned for armed resistance, suicide attempts, or escape. DeAngelo had prepared them himself. Officers surrounded DeAngelo's house at dawn. He was working in his garage, possibly destroying evidence. The Golden State Killer's 40-year run was finally ending that morning. DeAngelo surrendered without resistance, appearing shocked and confused. Investigators later learned this was calculated. He'd practiced this innocent act for decades, perfecting his final deception attempt. Inside DeAngelo's home, investigators found motorcycles and a boat. These vehicles matched witness descriptions from crimes. He'd kept trophies in plain sight for 40 years, boldly. Sharon DeAngelo learned her husband's truth through television news. Their daughters discovered their father was California's worst serial killer. The family's normal life shattered completely forever. Survivors gathered at DeAngelo's arraignment, finally facing their attacker. Jane Carson Sandler confronted him directly. The monster who terrorized them looked pathetic in his wheelchair, feigning frailty. DeAngelo initially pretended dementia, mumbling incoherently in court. Jail recordings revealed the truth. He exercised vigorously in his cell, preparing for trial while maintaining his act. August 2020, DeAngelo suddenly pleaded guilty to avoid death penalty. He admitted 13 murders and 45 rapes. His detailed confession revealed how police training enabled everything. DeAngelo apologized insincerely, calling himself truly sorry. Survivors rejected his words. Gay Hardwick said he stole her ability to trust. His police badge made the betrayal worse. Judge Michael Bowman called DeAngelo the worst criminal in California history. A police officer sworn to protect had become the state's most prolific rapist and killer. DeAngelo received 12 consecutive life sentences without parole possibility. He'll die in prison, ironically surrounded by criminals he once arrested. Justice took 40 years, but finally arrived. Detective Paul Holes retired before DeAngelo's capture, but attended every hearing. His dedication inspired new investigators. The case proved persistence, and science could solve anything eventually together. DNA technology revolutionized cold case investigations after DeAngelo's arrest. Hundreds of cases reopened nationwide. His capture demonstrated that killers could never truly escape modern forensic science permanently. Police departments nationwide changed hiring practices after DeAngelo's exposure. Psychological evaluations became stricter. Background checks expanded. The cop killer revealed vulnerabilities in law enforcement's own screening processes critically. Survivors formed support groups, finding strength in shared experiences. DeAngelo tried breaking them individually, but together they achieved justice. Their courage kept the case alive for decades. What disturbs you most about DeAngelo's double life? Subscribe for more true crime deep dives.